Minutes to go, Virginia was back within 6. Next possession, though, Jeremy Roach draws contact.
Roach at the right angle, drives right side of the lane against Clark. Layup is good, foul as well, and Duke feeling it here with 2:38 to go, and a 51-43 lead over Virginia.
The free throw would be good to make it 52-43. And down the stretch, Duke would make their free throws in the foul game as they finish off Virginia with a 59-49 victory. John Shire becomes the first person to win the ACC tournament as a player and as a head coach, taking them there in his first season after taking over the job from Mike Krzyzewski in the offseason. Duke on a 9-game win streak. Let's hear from the guys that called this one on ESPN Radio, Mike Cousins and Malcolm Huckabee for our postgame extra.
Greensboro, North Carolina, a raucous scene, blue and white confetti raining down from the sky as the clock hits 0 on a 59-49 win for the Duke Blue Devils over the Virginia Cavaliers in the title game of the ACC tournament. Duke made its run against Pittsburgh, against Miami, which was the number 1 seed, and here taking out the number 2 seed, co-regular season champion Virginia, and they did it in dominant fashion in this title game, not trailing for a single second.
Well, I think it started off their dominance in the paint. The paint points, I think that was the difference in this one. Duke 24 points in the paint, and then the turnovers. Duke did a great job creating some offense with the turnovers. 13 points off of turnovers in this game, but I have to go back to the 2 key players. Kyle Filipowski, he is a matchup nightmare. Would not be surprised to see him be a lottery pick. He is a handful of guards, 7-footer, can shoot threes, can handle. He is a guy that is almost impossible to guard one-on-one. But I'm going to go back to Jeremy Roach. I think the most important player on the Duke team, 23 points, 7 of 12 from the floor, and when it was winning time, the ball was in his hand. Perfect 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Duke is a dangerous team. Mike, I would not be surprised to see them go very deep in the NCAA tournament.
They go into the postseason on a 9-game winning streak. They had lost back-to-back games against Miami and another opponent in the ACC who's escaping my mind right now. But after the Miami loss, they called a players-only meeting, and that really turned the tide on their season. Kyle Filipowski, a phenomenal run here in 3 games, scored 59 points. Jeremy Roach with 23. And after Duke held Virginia to its lowest scoring first half of the year, they only had to outscore them by 3 in the second, and they win it 59-49 in the ACC championship game. For Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Mike Cousins, right here on your home court for college basketball, ESPN Radio. Now let's go back to the studio.
All right, thanks, Mike. Jeremy Roach again led the way for Duke with 23 points. Filipowski with 20 points and 10 rebounds. Again, it's the 45th NCAA tournament appearance for Duke, the 5th among active Division I programs, and the 22nd ACC tournament championship, most in conference history. North Carolina is second with 18. Meanwhile, in Kansas City, the Big 12 tournament finals featured the top 2 seeds, and for the first time, the 2 Division I leaders in Quad 1 victories meeting for a conference championship. 3rd-ranked Kansas taking on 7th-ranked Texas. The Longhorns with a 6-point win against TCU on Friday. Kansas with an impressive runaway victory over Iowa State. The Horns and Jayhawks split the season series, but Texas rounded out the regular season with a 16-point home victory against the Jayhawks. Jalen Wilson has a team-high 25 points in the semifinal win, and with the Jayhawks down by 3, he helped pull them even in the first half.
Wilson, the conference player of the year at the top. 20 points a game average. Had 25 and 10 yesterday. He's on the left. Uday sets the screen. Now a 3-pointer up by Wilson. All net for Jalen Wilson. He got 10.
Yeah, he's comfortable. The thing about Jalen Wilson is you have to make him more comfortable and get up in him and pressure him.
Tied the game at 19 at that point. Later in the half, Wilson put the Jayhawks in front.
6:20 left in our first half. High screen for Uday. Wilson drives through it. Fires to Pettiford on the right. Back to Wilson, corner right. They clear out the right side. He rises, he fires, and he nails it with his foot on the line. That'll be a deep 2 for Jalen Wilson, who's got 14 points.
Made it a 28-25 game. That was here on ESPN Radio, but Texas responded. Marcus Carr was struggled with his shot in the tournament. He was just 5 for 25 combined in the quarterfinals and semis, but did get a bucket to increase the Texas lead just before halftime.
Cunningham on the arc against Wilson. Flips it to Carr. 3 seconds to shoot. Carr drives. Carr puts it off the window, and it goes home at the end of the first half. Texas throws up 39 in the first half, and they'll take a 6-point lead to the locker room.
That 6-point lead, 39-33. Moving on to the second half, Texas kept pouring it on. Marcus Carr added to his total, putting the Texas Longhorns up by double digits.
Bishop, the Kansas City native, drives, kicks out to a wide-open Marcus Carr, and he buries a three. 3 big hits for Carr here in the second half.
Texas hasn't shot the three well, but they're still good basketball players. Way too good to be left alone like that.
Got Mark Kestisher on the call here on ESPN Radio. Horns continue to build separation up by 10. Jabari Rice increased the Horns' lead.
Carr gets by him into the lane, looks to pass to the wing. It bounces. It's picked up by Rice. Misses the three. Offensive board to Sue. Shot no good. Another offensive rebound. Cunningham no good. He gets a third offensive rebound. Finds Jabari Rice, who lays it in and one.
Then Arterio Morris throws one down to put this one on ice for the Longhorns.
Wilson with 24 behind the Adams screen. Darts against the shoe. Out to Yesufu. Joseph drives into the lane. Stripped by Cunningham. Steal Texas. Now they got a 3-on-1. Rice floats for the rim. Oh, what a grab by Arterio Morris. With a right hand jams it home. He scraped the ceiling to grab that one. And Texas goes up 20. It's a beatdown in Kansas City. Joseph Yesufu will drive high off the window. Miss the shot. Rebound, grabbed, and it's Texas coming away with it, and they could dribble out the final 8 seconds. A burnt orange Saturday night in Kansas City. The Texas Longhorns, for the second time in 3 years, are the Big 12 tournament champions, and they take down Kansas.
76-56, the final. It's the largest margin of defeat for Kansas in the Big 12 tournament ever. It's the Longhorns' 10th win over a ranked opponent this season, the most in Division I. Dylan DeSue led the way with 18 points. Rodney Terry taking over midseason after the dismissal of former head coach Chris Beard. Now as the interim coach, Terry has a Big 12 tournament title. Here is the Texas coach with our Chris Button.
Coach, let's start on today. This is the second time in the last 8 days that you have beaten Kansas pretty handily. What was the difference today?
They're a really, really good team. I mean, well coached. Wilson got off to a great start. We need to do a good job with him. I think just doing a good job on the supporting cast is what we had to do in this game.
As supporting cast, you've done it all week without one of your best players in Timmy Allen, and other guys stepped up. What are you most proud of in this team?
This has been a resilient group all year long. I'm just so proud of these guys. I'm just so happy for them. They worked their tails off, and we're Big 12 champs.
Yes, they are. Texas Longhorns, the Big 12 tournament champions for 2023. Jalen Wilson, another impressive outing, though, for Kansas in the loss, 24 points. He had 71 total points in the tournament, second most all-time for a KU player. Joe Lunardi has Kansas as the top overall seed entering play on Saturday. Texas projected to be a 2 seed. Now let's go around college basketball, see who else punched their ticket to the big dance. We'll go to the Big East at Madison Square Garden. Marquette taking on Xavier, the top 2 seeds. Marquette in control throughout thanks to Tyler Kolek. Marquette led by 15 at the half. In the second half, Kolek put this one on ice for 2 of his 20.
Mitchell has it still 25 feet away. Kolek will attack. Kolek in the lane. 6-footer good. Tyler Kolek with the hoop. Marquette's lead is 15. Marquette will dribble it out. Walson will do so. It's over. Impressive, dominant. Win the regular season by 2 games. Win the conference postseason tournament. Marquette champions in the Big East this year of everything. The final, Marquette 65, Xavier 50.
It's the first tournament title ever for Marquette in the Big East, clinching a 35th NCAA tournament appearance. Is only the second ever conference tournament title ever. They did win Conference USA earlier in their history. Tyler Kolek finished with 20 and was named the tournament's most outstanding player. For Shaka Smart, he's now led 3 different programs to conference tournament titles, but ever since his remarkable run with VCU, he's lost 7 straight NCAA tournament games.
Inbound to Parrish, and that's it. 2-1, and the Aztecs win. The Aztecs are your Mountain West Conference champions. Heck of a fight night tonight for Utah State. A dejected Aggie team walks off the court, but they have nothing to hold their head down about. What a night tonight. Utah State fought like crazy. Nothing left in the tank, but they did everything they could, and they gave the Aztecs everything they wanted. But in the end, it's Aztecs 62, Utah State 57.
That was the Aztec Sports Network with the calls. We move from the Big East to the Mountain West. The top two seeds in that league squared off, two contrasting styles. The Aztecs win their 7th Mountain West tournament title as their defense held Utah State sharpshooters just 17% shooting from three. San Diego State wins at 62-57. For the Aggies, Joe Lunardi has them in the field, though, as one of the last 4 buys with an 88% chance of getting into the field for the Aztecs, their 3rd tournament title in 6 seasons under Brian Dutcher. To the Midwest for the MAC tournament title game in Cleveland. Toledo, winners of 17 in a row, taking on a very good and veteran Kent State team. Kent State wins the MAC title 93-78 over Toledo. So the Flashes win the MAC. They're headed to the NCAA tournament for the 7th time in school history and their first since 2017. For Toledo, their NCAA tournament drought will continue. It's now at 42 years. 43 years. It's now been since 1980, the last time Toledo has made the NCAA tournament. Still more to come here on SportsCenter All Night on ESPN Radio. More teams making it into the big dance, but some NFL news to get to, including some follow-up from yesterday. The big trade that sent the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. We'll hear from Mel Kiper next. This is SportsCenter All Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Coming up Monday with the NFL free agency about to kick off, I'll tell you which free agent can turn your team into a Super Bowl contender. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter All Night. Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, One More Paddle, and Celsius.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-902-5544. 800-902-5544. That's 800-902-5544.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine against sludge and wear with a synthetic oil change. O'Reilly Auto Parts has 5 parts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $35.95. Plus, get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people can recommend the supplies you need, including a filter, funnel, shop towels, drain pans, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Slip the coffee check. Talk to doctor now and share.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Blood clots can happen to anyone. Up to 900,000 people in the United States are affected by blood clots each year, and 100,000 die from them. Blood clots don't discriminate. You or a loved one could be at risk right now. The good news is blood clots can be prevented. Knowing the risks and symptoms are key. On average, 1 person in the United States dies of a blood clot every 6 minutes. Don't let that be you or someone you know. Learn more at stoptheclot.org/spread the word.
Steve Mason and John Ireland.
Mason and Ireland on 710. You know who Mason is?
Oh, no, I think this came up yesterday. Go ahead.
You're Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
When you play, you're great.
High impact.
High impact. Like best player on the team.
Yep.
You just never know when you're playing.
Yeah, true.
That's 100% what it is.
Yes.
Mason, Ireland.
Monday at 1 p.m. on 710 ESPN. LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
This is Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Breaking news, the Panthers have decided to move up to take the #1 spot from the Bears.
The Bears were in position to make this deal, and they had multiple suitors for the #1 overall pick.
Oh, this is a slam dunk for the Chicago Bears. You're talking about, the fact that they got Justin Fields, and now you have true #1 in DJ Moore.
The teardown was the right move, and now this is a quality move by a second-year general manager, beyond a quality move.
So you heard it there. We are a day removed from the massive trade by the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers, which sent the #1 overall pick to the Panthers in exchange for 4 draft picks and wide receiver DJ Moore. Now, there's an opportunity to examine the fallout from this trade. Mel Kiper and Darian Mel on Saturday went over the trade compensation that the Bears received.
When you look at what he's done through his career, after being the first-round pick, 24th overall in 2018, he's going to only be 26 in April, so still young. 5 years in the league. He averaged 18-1 a catch in 2020, had 93 receptions in 2021, and 7 touchdown receptions this past year. So 364 career receptions, 14-3 average, and 21 touchdowns. He's not a 1 necessarily, but he's a 2+. Okay, so now you got him as a 1 and a 1- maybe. Okay, not a true #1 receiver. And then you got Mooney, the speedster. You got Claypool, who's trying to figure it out in the NFL. But DJ Moore, heck of an addition. And all their picks, as you mentioned, Gabe, they have 8 picks in the first 5 rounds. That's 8 of the top 149 players in this draft coming up in late April. The Bears will have.
So you heard from Mel Kiper there on the Bears trade compensation, specifically talking about wide receiver DJ Moore. Meanwhile, Jeremy Fowler, who was also on Darian Mel today, analyzes whether the price was too steep for the Panthers to pay for the top pick.
No, not really. That's about what you would need. Because, I was hearing even like teams in the top 7 trying to get up to 1 would need 2 1s and 2 2s. That's 2 first-round, 2 second-round picks. So basically Carolina did that plus DJ Moore. So the DJ Moore component offsets the 2 spots from 7 to 9, essentially, to get it done. So, Carolina, that was a hard move to deal DJ Moore in the deal because he's a key receiver. But they also get the cap hit off their books, too, and can sort of get, draft somebody else or start fresh there for the new quarterback. So let them build together as young players. So, it all works out. I would say it's probably about right for that kind of jump.
So for the Panthers, you don't give up that many assets unless you have a good idea of who you're taking at the number 1 overall pick. The Panthers likely looking for their franchise quarterback. Could it be C.J. Stroud, perhaps Bryce Young? Once again, here's Jeremy Fowler and who the Panthers could be targeting at number 1.
Well, I'm sure in their heart of hearts they probably know, but as far as what they're portraying or what people are saying behind the scenes, no. I think with 47 days before the draft, my understanding is they have up to 3 quarterbacks in mind. It's of course Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, and then one wild card that could be Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. They really have no rush now. They just want to get in position to be able to do what they want, and they could back out into another spot. Like let's say fall in love with Will Levis, right? Then you can get him at 3 most likely. You could move back 2 spots. So there's stuff you could do to maneuver, and I think they wanted that flexibility.
Now is just the start of the wheeling and dealing before next month's NFL draft. Rumors have floated that the Texans may be interested in a deal with Carolina to move up to 1 from there 2. Cardinals have also been linked to dealing the number 3 overall pick. Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft analyst, was also on Dari and Mel on Saturday. Will we see any more pre-draft trades?
I do. I think we see a domino fall probably somewhat quickly with the Arizona Cardinals at pick number 3. I think that's the next logical hot spot. They have Kyler Murray. They have a new general manager, a new head coach. They're not likely to draft a quarterback there. And I think now we can look at a scenario where if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you have the number 4 overall pick. Do you want to sit back and wait and hope that the guy you like is there? You have to like 4 quarterbacks if you're the Colts. You want to sit there. So I think that is a spot where not only could the Colts trade up 1 spot to make sure they get the number 3 quarterback in this draft, but also teams that want to jump the Colts for a quarterback are now probably getting Monty Ossenfort on the phone as often as they can to find out what's the cost to get to 3 right now to make sure you get, whether it's Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, or maybe even a surprise like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud.
So we have potential pre-draft trades coming your way, still with the NFL draft about a month away. SportsCenter all night here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Still more to get to, including our half-hour headlines, a history-making day for the Boston Bruins in the NHL, plus more automatic bids handed out in the NCAA tournament. We'll get to some of those as well. And the Jets moving some money around potentially to acquire Aaron Rodgers. We'll get to all of that next in half-hour headlines. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey, it's Greeny, and hope you're enjoying this weekend. I can tell you all I'm doing is sitting and refreshing Twitter every 15 seconds, waiting for news on Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets. We'll talk about that, Selection Sunday, and more Monday. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
After the pregame championship celebration, the MLS Cup champs got the season started off with a bang.
Into the area, boost, Chiellini, goal!
A win in the season opener for the Black and Gold, and the party continues tomorrow night at BMO Stadium.
Jump for LA Football Club, LA!
Tomorrow, LAFC versus New England. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. on 11:10 a.m. in the ESPN LA app.
Be more CyberZen. Get NordVPN. With a few simple clicks, NordVPN will block online trackers, secure your devices from malware-infected downloads, and block access to malicious websites. With NordVPN, enjoy internet without trackers, without malicious websites, without malware-ridden files. Be more CyberZen. Catch the special deal now at nordvpn.com.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
Top of the 7th looks like a pitching change as they've set up for a corner kick. The 2 black belts have entered the mat, and the slider is low and away. He heads the ball to midfield. This is quite a kumite. Here comes the roundhouse. Has it got enough gas to get out of here? Unbelievable! They've bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Kick savings pitch karate.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
I switched to Boost Mobile and got a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Want to know the best part?
It was free?
Nope.
The fact that it's on America's largest 5G networks?
Nope. It's the ding.
Oh, yeah. Love the ding.
Right? It's all about the ding. It's the dingarooski, the dingaroner, the ring-a-ding-ding.
Unleash your power to save with Boost. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone when you switch.
Boost Mobile. Unleash your power.
And the ding.
Limited time offer. New customers only. Available on select networks. 5G not available everywhere. One device per line. Tax excluded. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Hey, Coach. You wanted to see me?
Yeah, just wanted to let you know we're going with Geico for next week's game.
Geico? As our starting point guard?
Geico really delivers in the clutch, with over 85 years of great claim service right when customers need it most.
Coach, Geico isn't a basketball player. It's an insurance company.
Yeah, I just feel like Geico gives us our best chance to win.
Are you serious right now?
Thanks, champ. Knew you'd understand.
For the choice you can always rely on, go to geico.com.
Dispatch to all units and stand by to copy and general broadcast.
The Riverside County Sheriff's Department is hiring for 911 dispatch, correctional deputy trainee, deputy sheriff trainee, and other support positions. Do you have what it takes to respond to the call? Apply today at joinrsd.org to begin your exciting career with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at JoinRSD. That's Join RSD, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, service above self.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
Wolf?
Oh, a wolf.
Ooh! What about the tiny dog? Cat. Owl. Dolphin. What does the turkey say? Whale.
Whale sound.
Do the giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Okay. Giraffe. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning on LA's mega sports station. LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN.
This is Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
It is Selection Sunday, and this is Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center all night.
What is a history-making night in the National Hockey League? The Boston Bruins are the first team to 50 wins, the fastest team to 50 wins in NHL history after their comeback 3-2 victory over the Detroit Red Wings today. Bruins needed only 64 games to reach 50 wins, beating the record of 66 set by the 95-96 Red Wings and matched by the 2018-2019 Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, yesterday was the Cowboys making some additional cap room with their restructured deals for Dak Prescott and Zach Martin. Today, the Jets moved some money around with the restructured deals for guard Laken Tomlinson, cornerback DJ Reed, and tight end Tyler Conklin. Source told ESPN Field Yates on Saturday it's likely the Jets are trying to create some room in case they're able to acquire Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who spoke with the Jets earlier this week about a potential trade. And speaking of quarterbacks, the Saints have a new one in Derek Carr. Carr was introduced to the New Orleans media on Saturday. Carr signed a 4-year, $150 million deal earlier in the week. He was thrilled to be joining the Saints organization.
The fact that they were willing to even trade for me, that meant something. That shows you're showing me value without showing me value, right? You're valuing me as a quarterback and me as a human, without even having to say anything. And that meant something. It meant not just something, it meant a lot. And so obviously our relationship goes, way back and things like that. But, this time around, when they were the first one out there. And, I remember Tim called me, and told me, and, we set up the visit and, all those things. That meant a lot.
Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. We are hours away from the selection of the 68 teams. The automatic bids remaining entering Sunday stand at 5. SEC, Big Ten, Atlantic 10, American, and Ivy Leagues will all crown their champions, and those are the 5 automatic qualifiers remaining to be decided for the 2023 NCAA tournament field. The SEC title game is set. It'll be on ESPN at noon Eastern, but who would play in it? Top seed Alabama taking on Missouri in the semis on Saturday. Alabama still shrouded in controversy after police have alleged that Brandon Miller had transported the gun that was used to kill Jamie Janae Harris, a shooting which has resulted in the capital murder indictment against Miller's former teammate Darius Miles. But Miller continues to play for the Crimson Tide. They took on the Tigers in the SEC tournament semifinal in Nashville. It was a tight game at halftime as the Tide held on to a 2-point lead, and then Brandon Miller was able to get some offense going.
1 minute left to play. Bama by 10. Miller with it. Miller, deep three. Jagger. 13-point lead, biggest of the day. Bama on top with under a minute to go. 3, 2, 1. It is over. And Alabama once again advances to the finals. What a great win for Nate Oates' Alabama Crimson Tide.
Chris Stewart from Learfield on the call there for Alabama Radio. Alabama wins at 72-61. They move on to the title game for the second time in the last 3 seasons. The Tide outscored Missouri 36-22 over the final 14 minutes after they trailed 39-36 to claim the victory. Brandon Miller with 20 points, 12 rebounds, his 8th double-double of the season. Miller joined Marty Smith after the game.
Brandon Miller scores 16 points in the second half to lead Alabama to this semifinal victory. Describe the mindset, Brandon, to basically just take over in the second half.
I think my teammates just really believed in me to take over. So, I mean, my confidence and the confidence that they build for me is just amazing. So it just allowed me to take over a game.
A lot of that time you were playing with 3 fouls as well. How aware were you of that, and what changes?
I think when you lose yourself in the game, you don't realize all that stuff. You're just playing hard and just playing to get a win with your team.
I know you've said time and again you can't discuss the ongoing case that you're a part of. You said time and again, though, that your teammates have buoyed you during this time. How, Brandon?
It's just the brotherhood that we have.
You guys are going to play for a championship in the Southeastern Conference tomorrow. What will you prepare tonight in preparation for tomorrow?
Really just it's a mind game. Just locking in, getting focused for the game tomorrow. I know it's probably going to be a tough battle between 2 good teams. So we believe that we're going to come out with a win.
So a big win there for the Alabama Crimson Tide. As for who Alabama's opponent will be, would it be 2nd seed Texas A&M or 6th seed Vanderbilt? The Commodores knocked off Kentucky in the quarterfinals, while the Aggies sent Arkansas home early. We'll start in the first half. Aggies started the game on a 12-3 run as Vandy struggled to hold on to the basketball, and the Aggies would make them pay in transition.
Studi, left elbow stolen by Boots. Now it's a race to the basket. Boots to Coleman. Jam! We saw that yesterday. Tyrese took care of Henry, hustles down the floor, did it again. We use 1T4-7.
Andrew Monaco from Learfield on the call with that Henry Coleman slam. The dunk show would continue. Coleman with a big one in transition. Then after another steal by the Aggies defense, Solomon Washington throws one down.
Smith lost it. Coleman out ahead. Here comes Solo with the windmill. That's what I was looking for. That's one of I've seen in practice. Needed in the game. Lift off. Splash down.
Once again, Andrew Monaco from Learfield. Vanderbilt found themselves down by 24 points at the half. Commodores would try to chip away, but they could not solve the Aggies' offense.
Taylor down the right lane line. Spins. Paint around Melora Brown. He brought it back down in his left hand and banked it in around the big Commodore center. 23 for Wade.
Aggies win their semifinal against Vanderbilt, 87-75. The final. It's just the 3rd SEC championship game appearance for the Aggies. They are red hot right now, winners of 10 of their last 11. Wade Taylor IV led the way for the Aggies with a game-high 25 points. It's 7th 20-point game in his last 10 games. He spoke with Marty Smith after the win.
What was the mindset when they're making that run at the beginning of the second half, and how did you take over this game?
Let's continue to try to get defensive stops. Shout out to Vandy. They're a well-coached team, well-rounded team. I was excited to play when they gave us a hard-fought game. We just wanted to continue to stay poised and try to get the defensive stops another game, and we know we're ready to score this game.
I don't have to tell you, you guys fell short in the SEC championship game 1 year ago. What's it mean to this group to have the opportunity tomorrow to avenge that?
I just told the team that we're back in it. Hopefully with a different outcome. We're just going to get some rest tonight, try to go 1-0 with the treatment, try to go 1-0 with film study tonight, and see if we can win tomorrow.
So big win for Texas A&M as they move on to the SEC championship game. The title game is set. The Aggies taking on the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Tip-off is at noon on ESPN. We'll get to the Big Ten tournament now. That's another conference that will decide their champion tomorrow. Fifth-ranked Purdue taking on streaking Ohio State. The Buckeyes streaking at the right time, winning 3 games in 3 days to reach the semifinals. As the 13 seed, they're the lowest seeded team ever to reach the tournament semifinals. Purdue snuck past Rutgers by 5 the last time out. Purdue playing like they usually do, and Brandon Newman helped giving them a big lead.
Here's the full court pressure again by Ohio State. Braden Smith in the backcourt quickly to Gillis. He needs to hurry. Purdue barely broke it in time. Ahead to Newman. Newman will drive. He'll get to the rim and he'll make a layup. Smart play. Newman saw that Purdue had not only broken the press, but Ohio State had no one back near the basket. So Brandon drives it in and scores it. Purdue's up 75-62. Rebounded Caleb first. Ohio State will not foul, and this game is about to go final, and Purdue is about to go to the finals. The Big Ten tournament tomorrow. The championship game will feature the Purdue Boilermakers as the number 1 seed. They advance with an 80-66 win over the 13 seed Ohio State Buckeyes.
80-66, the final score. The Boilermakers headed to the Big Ten title game. It's their 6th Big Ten title game appearance and 2nd in a row, but the Boilermakers just 1-4 in title games with their lone win coming in 2009. As for their opponent in the title game, 10th-seeded Penn State taking on Indiana. Nittany Lions looking to become just the 3rd double-digit seed to reach the title game. Lions with an 8-point lead at halftime. Penn State up by 7 in the second half. Jalen Pickett went off today and increased the lead in the second half.
They got 4 to shoot. Pickett in the lane against Bates. Keeps going. Fades and good. What a play by Pickett. Penn State up 9. 6 minutes to play.
Meanwhile, Pickett had 28 points in the game, the second most ever by a Nittany Lion in a Big Ten championship game. Indiana would chip the deficit down to 1 with 30 seconds to play. Down by 4 in the final seconds. Here's Steve Jones from Learfield.
Galloway for 3 at the wire. No good. The Nittany Lions go to the Big Ten championship game. They knock off Indiana 77-73.
77-73, the final score. Penn State headed to the Big Ten title game for the first time since 2011. Again, Jalen Pickett, 28 points, 8 rebounds, his 7th game this season with 25 or more points. As for Indiana, the Hoosiers, it's their 6th straight loss in the Big Ten semifinals. Trace Jackson-Davis, 24 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists in the loss. He also eclipsed 2,200 career points, just the 3rd Indiana player to do it. A late one in Las Vegas in the Pac-12 title game. The 2 premier signature teams in the league from a college basketball perspective. Top seed UCLA, 2nd seed Arizona. Both teams, top 10 programs right now. Wildcats looking for their 2nd straight tournament title. And the 7th overall for UCLA. They're looking for their 5th tournament title and their 1st since 2014. Let's get to the game. Jaime Jaquez Jr. with a big shot to start things off in the second half.
Here's Jaquez back to the basket, top of the key. Starts a dribble drive. Now pulls it back out. Pull-up jumper from near the foul line is good. Jaime Jaquez heating up. He's up to 11.
So Jaquez with a big shot there. Made it a 3-point lead for UCLA at that point. Let's get to the late stages of the game. It went back and forth throughout the second half. Both teams could not pull away. Wildcats down by 1 with less than 30 to go. Courtney Ramey hadn't hit a shot all game long until then.
Larson looking to drive on Bailey, backing his way down, throw it out to Bellis. He shoots a 3, rims out no good. Rebound batted out to Bellis, to Ramey. Ramey, step back, squares, 3 ball, got it! Courtney Ramey.
Brian Jeffries from Learfield on the call there. Now let's get you to the final seconds. 2-point lead for Arizona in the final moments. Who would win, Arizona or UCLA?
Cabela sets for the second free throw. It is up, and it's no good. And the ball grabbed by Hawkins. Now the Bruins could tie with a 2. Here's McClendon for the win. It's no good, and Arizona is Pac-12 tournament champions again.
61-59 the final. UCLA with a chance to win it at the buzzer. That was Brian Jeffries from Learfield on the call. It's the second consecutive Pac-12 title for Arizona, the 7th in program history. Arizona improving to 4-1 against top 5 teams under Tommy Lloyd. They've now won 61 games over the last 2 seasons, extending Tommy Lloyd's record for the most wins by a head coach in their first 2 Division I seasons. Courtney Ramey's go-ahead 3-point field goal with 18 seconds left. Again, his first field goal made of the game. He had previously been 0 for 4. UCLA, meanwhile, they've not won a Pac-12 tournament title since they beat Arizona in the final in 2014. So Arizona, the Pac-12 tournament champion. Let's get to the American tournament in the semifinals. Number 1, Houston taking on 4th seed Cincinnati. Jawan Roberts with a big slam dunk down the stretch for Houston.
Arsenault to Shed. Shed finds Roberts underneath, and he slams it home. Jawan Roberts, the two-hand flush. 65-42 Cougars, 4:40 left to play.
So big-time victory for the Houston Cougars, winning at 69-48 over Cincinnati. Let's hear from Kelvin Sampson.
5th consecutive American Athletic Tournament championship game. You do it without Marcus Sasser. How are your guys able to keep it together, keep going?
I don't think we ever even thought about it, Myron. We just we run our stuff. And we defend the way we defend. We rebound the way we rebounded. We knew going into this game that we were going to pick on certain matchups, and Marcus wasn't involved in that. Marcus is Marcus. He's going to figure his stuff out. But, Jawan Roberts and Jarris Walker were a big part of the lineup today. They were both in. So we just told them at halftime, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to make any adjustments. But the freshman, Sharp, was really good defensively. Terrence Arsenault was just awesome today. Tremont Mark, Jamal Shed. With or without Marcus, we got a good team.
I think every Houston fan in the world wants to know what's the latest on Marcus Sasser and what's his status going forward.
I'm not sure what his status is. It is not a knee. It's more of his quad got shifted around, so I don't know what that means. I don't want to sound worse than it actually is, but the good news is not his knee.
So Houston takes on Memphis in the American Tournament Final tomorrow on ESPN, 2:15 tip-off Eastern Time. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. Coming up, the top sound from Saturday, SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app.
Coming up Monday, before you submit your bracket into the ESPN Tournament Challenge, I'll tell you which teams you should avoid and who is primed for a big-time run. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
More SportsCenter all night. Next.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center in Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more. And of course, special thanks to Johnsonville, Hoffy, and Zico Coconut Water.
Mason and Ireland, the OGs of LA Sports Radio.
Mason, Ireland.
Yeah, you and I have joked about this for years. Are we sure Mason is the gay one? Hashtag Broadway John. From Joel. Mason's always said if you describe what they're both into, you would automatically assume John's gay and not Mason.
That's true.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
If you knew nothing other than, okay, listen to Mason Ireland. It's a really good show. One of those guys is gay, and one is and people have been listening since 12:55.
Yeah,
you got no shot.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't fit the mold that I'm a sloppy stoner. I mean, come on.
I fit the mold better than
yes,
you
do. You fit the suit. Yeah, you're more proper. You're well groomed.
It's
Everything
true.
is
I
perfect.
shave every day.
Shave every day. All that stuff.
Mason and Ireland.
Monday at 1 p.m. after Trav and Slee on LA's Mega Sports Station.
710 ESPN.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
You are never too old for a family. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is dedicated to finding forever families for children who have been waiting in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Keyshawn, J-Will, and Max in the morning.
LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN. This is Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
This is Sports Center all night here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. I'm Alex Sapara here with you as we are in Selection Sunday, but tune into NBA action tonight as the Lakers host the Knicks, presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on select ESPN radio stations. Now, we'll continue on with the NHL, and the Boston Bruins have been making history this season already with 49 wins entering today, and a win against the Red Wings would make them the fastest to 50 wins in NHL history. It was a 2-2 game in the third period with under 6.5 to play. Bruins had trailed the entire game until
it came free to Hathaway. McAvoy, now Noshit. A sloppy rebound left for Garnet Hathaway, and Boston has the lead for the first time today.
Sean McDonough on the call on ABC. Garnet Hathaway puts in a big fat rebound, gave the Bruins the 3-2 lead and the win. Bruins needed only 64 games to reach 50 wins against the fastest in NHL history, beating the record of 66 set by the 95-96 Detroit Red Wings and matched by the 2018-2019 Tampa Bay Lightning. It was a busy day on a championship Saturday around college basketball. A lot to get to there. So let's hear some of the top clips from around the sporting world. Let's get to Top Sound with Dave Maker.
Number 5.
Al Horford's defense leading to Malcolm Brogdon's offense for the Boston Celtics. Celtics beat Atlanta 134-125. Jonathan Wallach, the call on WBZ-FM.
Rebound saved by Young to Collins. Collins looked like he traveled, didn't call it. His shot rejected by Horford. 3-on-2 the other way. Brogdon on the run out, ducks it right-handed with 33.8 seconds left. What a defensive stand when the Celtics absolutely had to have one.
Number 4.
Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers dominates the New York Knicks, 38 points. Noah Eagle, the call on AM 570 LA Sports.
8-2. Facing up on Barrett, just inside the arc. Crossover, drive middle. Leonard bends off, steps back. Free throw line contested Jay.
Oh!
go. Kawhi Leonard splash. 99-85. What a shot from Kawhi, who's got 34.
Number 3.
Texas A&M plays Alabama for the SEC title Sunday. The Aggies Solomon Washington with a slam in their semifinal win over Vanderbilt. Andrew Monaco the call on Learfield.
Smith lost it. Coleman out ahead. Here comes Solo with the windmill. That's what I was looking for. That's what I've seen in practice. Needed it in the game. Lift off. Splash down.
Number 2.
Another semi. Penn State beats Indiana in Chicago. Nittany Lions get Purdue on Sunday. Andrew Funk shooting from Stephen Curry territory. Steve Jones on Learfield.
Funk far wing with 7. Far wing to his right. Now at 4. Funk 30-footer. It's good. Andrew Funk from way downtown, from the Willis Tower. 64-53 Nittany Lions.
Number 1.
There's not much better than the local calls of the mid-majors when they advance to the NCAAs. Florida Atlantic over UAB for the Conference USA Championship. America, this is Ken LaVicka on Learfield.
Rollock grabs the inbound. Florida Atlantic fans, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It has happened. The horn sounds in a season described as a fairy tale, as a dream. I can assure you it's not. This is reality. Florida Atlantic Conference USA tournament champions. They haven't done it since 2002. The Owls, the most dominant team in CUSA. They win the regular season. They win the tournament. Florida Atlantic fans, it's time for a Saturday night party. Your Owls are assured of the NCAA tournament. Kevin LaVicka from Learfield there. Fantastic calls. Florida Atlantic wins CUSA. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Alex Sobario here with you. Some news in the NFL from earlier in the week. Derek Carr, now a New Orleans Saint, after spending his time with the Las Vegas Raiders. He signed a 4-year, $150 million deal with the Saints. And now Carr was introduced for the first time. Calls the Saints offense explosive, very explosive.
Explosive. They're very explosive, very competitive. I'm really excited to, have all those guys run down the field and just check one down to Alvin just to see what he can do. That'll be fun. I'm excited to watch, Taysom run the football, and have the ball in his hands. I'm excited to watch those guys run down the field, with their speed and athleticism and, and Jawan, the athleticism that he has as a tight end and the way he can move. And, there's just so much potential, but that doesn't mean anything. So you make a decision based on what you think it can be, but then you got to go make it that.
A big selection Sunday awaits us all now. 5 conferences left to decide their automatic bids, and by the end of the day, we'll have our 68-team field for the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Coming up, the best week ever. We'll get your Sunday started. For our entire crew here in Bristol, this is Alex Sobario, and this has been Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Coming up Monday, before you submit your bracket in the ESPN Tournament Challenge, I'll tell you which teams are primed for a championship run. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Mac.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Solo All-Electric Car, Stretch Labs, and Islands Restaurants.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-902-5544. 800-902-5544. That's 800-902-5544.
Be more CyberZen. Get NordVPN. With a few simple clicks, NordVPN will block online trackers, secure your devices from malware-infected downloads, and block access to malicious websites. With NordVPN, enjoy internet without trackers, without malicious websites, without malware-ridden files. Be more CyberZen. Catch the special deal now at nordvpn.com.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
The final horse now in the gate, and they're off. They're starting off with a double toe loop jump, leading a difficult 7-10 split. As there's movement on the inside rail. Only 9 pins separate them now to head to the final quarter mile. They're neck and neck. It's down to the last frame. Here comes the axle jump. They bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Win, strike, savings, gold.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Sedano and Cap.
The fun way to drive home every weekday afternoon on 710.
So in the house, we have a legend, Be Real.
Right on, go LAFC.
That place, I've been there only a couple of times, but it is always live every single time you're in that building.
Listen, I'm a lifelong Lakers fan. I went to the championship games with Kobe and Shaq, and with Kobe and Gasol and Odom, and it was Buck. It was crazy, in those championship games. But it was in those championship games only where you see this kind of crazy energy, right? Whereas every game,
LAFC,
that section,
crazy.
it's like it's a championship game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pride, a lot of passion. It's the most awesome vibe, man. Getting to support the team and be there and help create the vibe.
You don't want to miss Sedano and Cap.
Monday at 4 p.m. after Mason and Ireland.
On 710 ESPN.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In 95.
Moving forward, he's going to play better. And I think sometimes we get so clouded because of the antics that we see from him off the field and putting Green Bay in the situation that they're in now and going to the dark hole before he has to make a decision. Sometimes a lot of that can cloud our minds on how we think Aaron Rodgers is as a quarterback.
Vince and Harry, weekdays at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. 13 conference championships and NCAA tournament bids were earned on Saturday. Some of the tournament winners: Marquette in the Big East, San Diego State in the Mountain West, Arizona in the Pac-12, and Texas defeats Kansas to win the Big 12 tournament. Yet, despite the loss to the Longhorns, ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi believes the Jayhawks deserve to be not only a 1 seed, but the overall number 1.
All Kansas has done is pile up more high-end wins than we've ever seen in the history of bracketology. And at this moment, even with that loss tonight, Kansas has more what we call quad 1 wins than Alabama and Houston combined. And I just think that means something.
That's Joe Lunardi on ESPN SportsCenter. There are 5 more conference tournament champions to be crowned today before Selection Sunday is underway, and that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the NBA Saturday night, Steph Curry sure did look like his old self, 36 points, helping the Warriors to a 125-116 win over Milwaukee. Bucks played without their superstar, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He missed his 3rd straight game, dealing with a sore hand. Scottie Scheffler has a 2-shot lead over Minwoo Lee after 3 rounds of the PGA's Players Championship. Coverage of featured groups and featured holes can be found on ESPN+. What's found right now, coming up next on ESPN Radio, the best week ever.
Coming up Monday, before you submit your bracket into the ESPN Tournament Challenge, I'll tell you which teams you should avoid and who is primed for a big-time run. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
This is the best week ever with Peter Burns and Courtney Cronin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it actually is Peter Burns and Courtney Cronin, but not this week. Rolling shotgun, my man Emmett Golden hanging out with me. Man, of all weeks, Emmett, I feel bad for you, right? Like,
yeah. it would be daylight savings time.
Hold on. You didn't even know what I was going to say, my man.
Oh,
you didn't even know what I was going to say. What if I would have said that you're hosting with me and you'd been like, yeah, man, that's already going bad, dog.
Well,
like, we're
well, I knew it wasn't going to be that. It could only be the daylight savings time, right? That's all it could be.
That's actually correct. You lose an hour of sleep, but we gain a great hour of sunshine. So we're going to do our best over the next 3 hours. I got to keep you awake because I know everybody's struggling this morning, just a touch, right? This show always presented by Progressive Insurance. We're going to talk a little bit about Selection Sunday. We got some college hoops conference championship games being played, March Madness. We got chaos with the NFL draft coming up, and we have betting on wrestling and the Oscars. All of that coming up over the span of the next 3 hours. And we'll have Jerry Stackhouse, head coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, who's on the bubble right now, who literally is probably refreshing Joe Lenardi every single 30 seconds to figure out what we have going on. So without further ado, my man, let's get right into it with the biggest story of the week ever.
The biggest story of the week ever.
All right, let's start where college hoops dominance used to reside. And I say used to because that's the ACC. ACC championship game last night. Here's the call courtesy of ESPN Radio.
Road to the right angle, drives right side of the lane against Clark. Layup is good, foul as well, and Duke feeling it here with 2:38 to go and a 51-43 lead over Virginia.
When I think March Madness, these are one of the names that pops up, right, Emmett? Like Duke is Duke. They're on TV more times than Leave It to Beaver reruns. Remember the old drop in radio history? And listen, I'm fascinated by not necessarily Duke, but I'm fascinated by the ACC this year because I think this is a monster year for them. Going back where they only, got 5 teams in the tournament last year, but they were pretty good, right? 2 Final Four teams. North Carolina, of course, played extremely well. You had another Elite 8 squad, so 3 of the 5 went on runs. I'm a little curious to see if that continues this year because, man, they used to get 9, 8 teams in the tournament each and every year. It feels a little different this year.
Yeah, the ACC always looked at them in basketball kind of what the SEC is in college football, right? You just knew they were going to dominate or have a bunch of teams in the tournament, and all you have to do is look at North Carolina. That sums up the ACC right there for me. You know, a great team, lots of history, had high expectations, and just didn't get it done this year.
Here's Joe Lenardi real quick on game night yesterday of why nobody wants to see the Blue Devils right now.
You take a look at how Duke's playing right now, and you look at them, you try and picture them playing Purdue or Houston or Alabama and Kansas, and, casting aside their youth, which would be a disadvantage against all of those teams, they're playing as well as any of them, maybe better than a couple of them right now. So you have to be pretty bullish on the Devils at this point.
John Shire's got to be happy with it, of course, winning an ACC championship tournament. But again, Coach K gone, Roy Williams gone. We just saw Jim Boeheim step away from Syracuse. Leonard Hamilton's been coaching for 9,000 years, it feels like, over at Florida State, and they've struggled a little bit. And so, again, you see all these legends starting to kind of step down because the game is changing a little bit. ACC needs a team like Duke to go on a run. A team that's been going on a run lately over in the AAC. My goodness, Kelvin Sampson's Houston Cougars rolling once again.
Arsenault to Shed. Shed finds Roberts underneath, and he slams it home. Jawan Roberts, the two-hand flush. 65-42 Cougars, 4:40 left to play.
Jerry Branham from Learfield IMG on the call. But why don't we talk about Kelvin Sampson being one of these coaches that's beloved and always where is he going to next? I mean, no offense to Houston. They've been doing fantastic. It's a great hoops program. He has that kind of H-Town blood in his system. He's been there for a while. But my goodness, the way he's taken these teams to Final Four, Elite Eights, and now arguably another number 1 seed, Really, really impressive job he's done.
Yeah, it is surprising, but I think, kind of to your point, it's because he's in Houston, and you think of Houston now. You don't really think of them, 365 days a year. You think of them by the time the tournament starts up. So it's just a place, but he's done a great job with that squad.
Done a fantastic job with it. And who else has done a really good job is Rodney Terry, taking over for the Texas Longhorns back on January 5th after Chris Beard was relieved of his duties. And, of course, Chris Beard linked to the Ole Miss job right now. But this is what the Big 12 championship game sounded like. What is even close?
Wilson with 24 behind the Adams screens. Darts against Desu. Out to Yesufu. Joseph drives into the lane. Stripped by Cunningham. Steal Texas. Now they got a 3-on-1. Rice floats for the rim. Oh, what a grab by Arterio Morris. With a right hand jams it home. He scraped the ceiling to grab that one. And Texas goes up 20. It's a beatdown in Kansas City.
Beatdown in Kansas City. He went 16-7 with a ton of top 25 wins since taking over. There's no doubt in my mind that Rodney Terry should be the next head coach over at Texas. Like, get rid of the interim tag. Do it right here, right now. He is the guy, arguably the coach of the year, and what he's done with the Longhorns.
Yeah, they got to keep him there. And if they get too cute and mess around, someone else will get a great head coach. And when you got a guy that is able to come in through adversity and get his team where it is now, I'm sure he helped recruit some of these guys, but these aren't necessarily his guys. So for him to do that has been amazing.
Sooner or later, you become one of those guys, right? You become the next Bill Self. You become the next Coach K. You become the next Roy Williams. Why not Rodney Terry? Like, you've shown that you could do it. And this is not, hey, he went on a little bit of a run. The conference wasn't that great. This is the best conference in all of college hoops right now. Yeah. And he navigated perfectly. That team is rolling with them. They feel like something special. He's been a head coach before. Make it a permanent thing. You can hit us up on Twitter at eGoldie80, myself at Peter Burns, ESPN. The show always presented by Progressive Insurance. All right, bombshell when it comes to the NFL draft. The Bears have traded that number one pick to the Carolina Panthers. Why neither of those teams hold the key to the this year's upcoming draft. I'll tell you which team that is. That coming up next year. Best week ever on ESPN Radio.
There is the confetti. Bob Marlin, may we have this dance.
And the Paladins are dancing for the first time in 43 years.
Let the madness begin.
After the pregame championship celebration, the MLS Cup champs got the season started off with a bang.
Into the area, loose, Chiellini, goal!
A win in the season opener for the Black and Gold, and the party continues tomorrow night at BMO Stadium.
Jump LA Football Club,
Tomorrow, LAFC versus New England. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. on 11:10 a.m. in the ESPN LA app.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started. The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Dispatch to all units. Stand by to copy a general broadcast.
The Riverside County Sheriff's Department is hiring for 911 dispatch, correctional deputy trainee, deputy sheriff trainee, and other support positions. Do you have what it takes to respond to the call? Apply today at joinrsd.org to begin your exciting career with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at JoinRSD. That's JoinRSD, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, service above self.
Transitioning out of the military, it's difficult. Just about everything around you changes. I would get phone calls that brothers were dying, some of them to suicide. And I'd found myself in another cold cemetery. And I started to wonder if I was next. It's a struggle to know that you're facing challenges, but not be ready to face them. Sleep doesn't come easy. And when it comes, it doesn't last long. You're tired all the time. I didn't reach out for that help, but thank God my wife did. She got me registered for Wounded Warrior Project. Talking to somebody that would listen to me and understood my story helped me realize that it was time to change. There's a new fight. There's a new mission, and that's something I am eternally grateful for.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning on LA's mega sports station. LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN.
Breaking news, the Panthers have decided to move up to take the number 1 spot from the Bears.
Everybody's trying to figure out exactly what Carolina do. Look, I think the pick will boil down to either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud.
I think C.J. Stroud is probably the favorite right now, at least around the league, in terms of people I've talked to, that he would be the number 1 pick in this draft.
And they said we love all these quarterbacks, and we've got 48 days to make a decision on which one we will be taking.
And that's the reason why we're all up an hour early, right? We get a little bit more sunshine in our day. Peter Burns, Emma Golden here on Best Week Ever on ESPN Radio. We're struggling with you, folks. We're just trying to have some fun this morning. We're keeping it, at least the kids, hopefully, Emmett. I do the show out of my studio in my house. We'll be sleeping in a little bit longer, right? Yeah. So they're not up at crack of dawn. So that helps a little bit. I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old who are just wrecking hell on my sleep patterns already. So that's all I'm asking.
I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old, so I ain't worried about them waking up early at all. That's not a concern of mine.
10:30, yeah.
Right.
They'll be rising when the show is over, to say the least. Of course, like this used to be one of the world's worst shows to ever host, right? On radio at any week, because it's the Sunday, right? It's the day it actually happens. And before we had iPhones, okay, and before like your cell phone would be used as your alarm, you were like, you had to do the math, and then you're like, wait a minute, all right, I think we're losing extra hour. Let me make sure. And then you just set the alarm. Hey, by the way, Harry and those guys. Harry, you're too young, by the way. You told me your dad listens to Pearl Jam, and that's whenever that happens, that was a gut punch, my man. Mikey, you've been around for a longer time. How many guys have slept in on this shift on ESPN Radio over the years? Has it happened?
I have yet to, but I've also only been working on the show for a couple months now.
Right. But I mean, I imagine over the course of years.
Like we all have at some point.
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be the day that if I had to gamble on, I would do it. Speaking of gambling and a bad radio transition, the Bears have traded the overall top pick to the Panthers for 4 picks in DJ Moore. Now, that was monster news coming out this week. Emmett, were you surprised that it was the Panthers that got off there that quick?
I was surprised that it was the Panthers. I didn't expect them to be willing to give up those assets to go up to 1, because I feel like they need as many assets as possible to really improve. So to give up everything that they gave up, and you're assuming they want the number 1 overall pick to draft a quarterback. Well, they traded their best receiver, so you're not going to be able to support said quarterback now because you don't have picks and you don't have a great receiver. So definitely a strange strategy to me.
Well, what's strange about this is what they could do after this. Like, if you read between the lines, it is not as if they have decided it's going to be Bryce Young or it's going to be C.J. Stroud. In fact, in several of the reports I have read about this, Emmett, this was the most shocking part about it, saying if they don't love a quarterback and aren't 100% sure, they could trade down. Like, this is like, I don't understand this rationale where they're like, we're going to be first. All right, we got the number 1 pick. Well, we don't really want it. Like, it's not like they got the receipt and they're like, well, we would like DJ Moore back. We would like all these this next year's first round draft pick. Like, they are pot committed at this time. And I want to hear this. Mel Kiper Jr. had this to say on what the Bears got over on Dari and Mel, and I think that plays a role into it. Listen.
When you look at what he's done through his career, after being the first-round pick, 24th overall in 2018, he's going to only be 26 in April, so still young. 5 years in the league, he averaged 18-1 a catch in 2020, had 93 receptions in 2021, and 7 touchdown receptions this past year. So 364 career receptions, 14-3 average, and 21 touchdowns. He's not a 1 necessarily, but he's a 2+. Okay, so now you got him as a 1 and a 1 minus maybe. Okay, not a true number 1 receiver. And then you got Mooney, the speedster. You got Claypool's trying to figure it out in the NFL. But DJ Moore, heck of an addition. And all their picks, as you mentioned, Gabe, they have 8 picks in the first 5 rounds. That's 8 of the top 149 players in this draft coming up in late April. The Bears will have.
So if you're the Bears, you got to be happy about this right now. It's going to be Justin Fields. You have I think a legit weapon in DJ Moore. You're set with a bunch of draft picks. The Bears are in a good spot. I still don't believe that they hold the keys to the draft, right? And where I'm going with this is that I look at whether it's Bryce or CJ, the Texans will probably take whoever's left, okay? So if it's Bryce Young, they're taking CJ Stroud. If it's vice versa, I don't think either one of them leap for Will Levis and definitely not Anthony Richardson as kind of some of the wild cards. But to me, if you're the Indianapolis Colts at 4, you have to assume Arizona is probably going to take either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, one of those 2 guys, right? They already got their quarterback in Kyler Murray. I think that's the team that controls this draft, right? Like, they're the most intriguing one to me. What would you do if you're the Colts at this point? You need a quarterback as well.
Yeah, I do one of 2 things. I'd either trade back and just say, hey, we'll take a swing at this next year, or I'd go after Lamar Jackson. Right? Like, to me, that's instant coffee right there. You know exactly what you're getting. You're going to have an MVP candidate at quarterback, and you can kind of hit the ground running. No pun intended, talking about Lamar, but that's what I would do. One of those 2 things. Either I'd trade back and accumulate the assets, or maybe I'd do both. Maybe I'd trade back, get some assets, and then go after Lamar.
I think you can get the next Lamar Jackson in next year's draft. If I'm the Colts right now, I'm doing every single thing I can to tank. And I'm not talking like what the Houston Texans should have done, right? Like, it still just baffles me how the Texans won that game against the Indianapolis Colts at the end of the season that basically cost them the overall number 1 pick of the draft, right? Like, they could have had that draft capital that the Panthers just gave them, and they don't even know if they necessarily even want the number 1 pick at this point, which is crazy to me. Like, that's how valuable that pick is, which is nuts. But if I'm the Colts, I have my Lamar Jackson, okay? I have him in Caleb Williams. Okay, I think Caleb Williams is transcendent. I believe that he will be the next star in the NFL. We'll get to see him firsthand. He'll play great in Lincoln Riley's system. Lincoln will get him ready for the NFL. He's going to light up the Pac-12 next year at USC. And I go, all right, how do I trade out? Because that fourth pick is going to be really, really sought after. Someone's going to get Jalen Carter. Someone's either going to get Will Anderson if he's still – one of those two is probably going to still be on the board. And there's still people that love Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. Like, somebody might be willing to take a flyer and think that that's the dude that's going to be a game changer. I mean, like, that number 4 pick, I'm not saying you're going to get what the Panthers got at number 1. You might get pretty damn close. And why not build towards trying to tank and get Caleb Williams the following year?
Yeah, somebody is going to be thirsty for Levis or for Richardson. There's no question about that. And if listen, I'm in
That's
Cleveland.
such a great term on those two quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
You've got it's thirst trap. They are
Yes,
the Instagram thirst trap right now of I think they're kind of crazy, but I think I can make it work.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? They're like, yeah, Anthony Richardson was great at the combine. I can save him. Let me put my cape on. He could be the one to do that. But to your point, I'm in Cleveland. I know a little bit about tanking. I saw the Browns go 1-31. It can happen. Like, it's effective. The Browns went 1-31, and although they haven't really gone deep in the playoffs, they have a roster loaded with good players. And
But what did they miss on? What did they miss on?
The quarterback. Yeah, took Baker Mayfield number 1 overall, and that's probably the reason why they haven't, gone deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, because Emmett Golden, Peter Burns here on Best Week Ever, and Emmett, you're right, like, the tanking you go back to 76ers, even in hoops, like it worked for them, right? They had a bunch of good players, and they tried to make that jump as opposed to, living in the purgatory that the Knicks have been living in for the last, 20 years, it feels like. And what the Browns did back in the day was do pretty much everything right, but nailed that quarterback pick, right? You have that opportunity. If you had a transcendent quarterback with what the Browns had around it, all of a sudden it looks pretty damn good. Okay. Yeah. It does well. And so that's what I'm saying. I think the Colts, if you sat there, you're going to have a great opportunity to put up. You just keep trading. And I don't know how many times you can trade back. I don't know if at some point Roger Goodell's like, bro, that's enough. You have 874 picks. Like, we get it. The entire third round is yours. Go.
Yeah, the third and the fifth round, all your picks. Like, you got to share some of these.
You just stand up there. All right, we got the next 3 picks. And like in fantasy football, you do the snake drafts. You're like, you go back to back. You're like, we're gonna get 4 picks in a row here.
Right.
That's it. We're gonna clear the cap space, and all of a sudden, the Colts end up being that guy.
They're gonna hit the XFL. Yeah, go get the free agent.
Exactly. Give me the Guardians.
Right.
Give me the Roughnecks.
Right.
I don't even know if the USFL is out yet, but I'll take 2 of those guys.
Right.
Emmett Golden, Peter Burns, having some fun here on Best Week Ever. All right. The NFL version of Kyrie Irving, Aaron Rodgers, had something to say once again on his future. We'll hear about what's going on with the Packers and whether or not it's a done deal that Aaron is out of Green Bay. That coming up next. Peter Burns, Emmett Golden, Best Week Ever on ESPN Radio.
Today is Selection Sunday on ESPN Radio. The 2023 NCAA tournament bracket will be released. Plus, hear from the coaches, the experts, and we'll find Cinderella. The Selection Sunday Show. Today starting at 5 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on SiriusXM Channel 80. Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Papa Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Michelob Ultra, Bud White Seltzer, and Pizza Hut.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life. The bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You join because you are not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-385-9302 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-385-9302. That's 800-385-9302. What do you have to lose? Call 800-385-9302. Again, 800-385-9302.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh, in the jungle, the quiet jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh,
it just isn't the same without the lion. Join the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance today. Visit stzwa.org.
Every year across America,